Thank you. The hour is 5 o'clock, so I'll now call this Committee of Adjustment meeting to order. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history, spirituality, and culture of the Anishinaabeg, the people of the Three Fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. And further, we give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We also recognize the Métis and Inuit, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all, as treaty people, live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Excuse me, folks, I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat, so you'll hear me catch my breath a couple times. Our next agenda item is approval of the agenda. I'll ask that the agenda be approved as presented, asking for a mover and a seconder. Motion made by Committee Member McMillan, seconded by Committee Member Ladresse. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion is carried. Committee Member Glenn might be frozen on us there. Either that or you're holding the pose for a long time. Oh, there you go. Good. All right. I'll ask for a declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest at this time? I myself need to declare a pecuniary interest in item 6.1.3. That property is in proximity to land owned by me, so I will declare a pecuniary interest, and when we approach that point in the meeting, I will vacate the chair, and excuse me, Vice Chair Ladresse will chair the meeting for me at that time. So we'll move to minutes of the previous meetings. October 15th, 2024. I'll ask that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on October 15th, 2024 be adopted. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Committee Member Ladresse. Seconded by Committee Member McMillan. All those in favor? That motion is carried. I think we lost you again, Committee Member Glenn. Yeah, I'm wondering, are you able to hear us or communicate, Committee Member Glenn? We'll give him a moment. Maybe he's going to jump on and then log back on. Or maybe I've upset him and he's just left. Well, committee, I'm going to suggest we go ahead and proceed. And if Mr. Committee Member Glenn finds his way back, then he can join us. And if not, we'll proceed. So, moving to new business, new applications, 6.1.1, DEV 2024-60, a severance application, BE 22-24 for Osborne. This is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider the application for severance for Barbara and Kim Osborne under Section 53 of the Planning Act regarding property located at Part Lot 20, Concession 13, Keppel. Madam Secretary Treasurer, please go ahead with your review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of the severance in accordance with Ontario Regulation 197/96 made under the Planning Act, was given on October 22nd, 2024 by ordinary mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property, which is subject to the application and to all the required agencies. Notice was also posted on the subject lands and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary-Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or public body that requests a notice of the decision of the committee in respect to this proposed severance may submit an appeal.
Thank you. I will now read the recommendation as presented and ask for a mover and a seconder. It has been demonstrated that the proposed application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2024, conforms with the county and to township official plans, and complies with the general intent and purpose of the Township of Georgian Bluffs zoning bylaw 2020-20. It is recommended that consent application B22-24 for Barbara and Kim Osborne be approved, subject to the following conditions. 1. That a reference plan be completed and a copy filed with the municipal clerk, or an exemption from the reference plan be received from the Land Registry Office. 2. That the application is for a lot addition only, and that the lands be severed to merge under the same ownership as the receiving lands. Part Lot 20, Concession 13, Keppel. RP 16R4418, Part 2, Pin 37031-0088, and that subsection 3 or 5 of the Planning Act shall apply to any subsequent conveyance. That a copy of the registered deed to the receiving lands, Part Lot 20, Concession 13, Keppel, RP 16R4418, Part 2, Pin 37031-0088, confirming the merger has been completed, shall be filed with the Township of the Georgian Bluffs Committee of Adjustment. 4, that pursuant to Section 53, Paragraph 42 of the Planning Act, the certificate of consent be affixed to the deed within 2 years of the giving of the notice of decision, or as specified in the Planning Act at the time of the deed stamping. Note, Section 53, Paragraph 43 of the Planning Act requires that the transaction approved by this consent must be carried out within 2 years of the issuance of the certificate, i.e. the stamping of the deed. 5, that the applicant pays the applicable consent certification fee at the time of the certification of the deeds. And 6, that a zoning bylaw amendment be completed for the receiving lands that implements a holding provisions requiring the completion of an environmental impact and a karst study. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Committee Member Ladresse, seconded by Committee Member Glenn. Welcome back, Committee Member Glenn. Could the planner please give us a summary of the planning report regarding this file?
Application B2224 proposes to sever a 1,533 square meter parcel from an existing 4.13 hectare rural parcel to provide access to abutting lands to the south. 3.95 hectares will be retained for the continued use as rural residential property. The severed lands will be merged to the receiving lands, the lands to the south, referenced as part of Lot 20, Concession 13, Keppel, being reference plan 16R4418, Part 2. These lands will eventually be developed as rural residential property. In terms of comments received, at that point, comments received from the Grey County Planning and Development Services Department on November 13th. And they say, in summary, that county staff recommend that the application be deferred until such time as a karst hazard study and environmental impact study be completed, for the severed lands and enlarged lot to the satisfaction of the County of Grey and the Township of Georgian Bluffs. Alternatively, county staff recommend that zoning bylaw amendment be conditional of consent to ensure that a holding provision is placed on both the severed and benefiting lands, detailing that the following be completed prior to any site alteration and or development to the satisfaction of the County of Grey and the Georgian Bluffs. A karst hazard study prepared by a qualified person demonstrating that the karst features will not pose a hazard to development and public health and safety. And B, an environmental impact study prepared by a qualified person demonstrating that development and or site alteration will not result in negative impacts on the natural features or their ecological functions. That alternative recommendation from the county has been included as condition number 6 to the recommended severance, and that is the extent of the comments received.
Thank you. I will now call upon the applicant to provide comments. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. Feel free to come on up here. Yep.
So it's Barb Osborne. So we discovered, we are on 10 acres on 14, and we discovered that there was a landlocked 10 acres behind us. We thought our neighbor had a 20. It was 2 10s. So my son said, okay, I'm going to go and ask them if at some point they want to sell it. I'd be the first right of refusal. And 30 days later, they were trying to sell it. So we said, you know what? Buy it. Because if you don't buy it, we will add to our 20. We will add to our 10 and make it 20. So we have already got a second driveway on our property. We applied for a permit and we got it. So we have a second entrance potentially on this severed piece of land. That's been approved already. Okay. So I guess my question to you is, my son plans to build there in 2 years, within this 2-year time frame. So we've got the conservation approval already. The karst study, like all of these things cost money. And are you going to guarantee me that if I get those studies and they're good, that approval will come? Because then we're out $7,000 and you're going to say no. So my question is, conservation said, yes, it's not an issue. I've got a letter right now from them. Karst study, he's already been in contact with them. Once again, we know everything costs money, but you know, we will get the set. We've already had it surveyed as well. We just haven't gone with the reference plan because again, 3,000. It's another 15,000 to get this done. And if it's not going to go through, you know, that's money that they have wasted. So, of course, when he applies for a building permit, those things have to be in place, right? So what we're looking for is this approval for this add-on. Okay, you pay for that quite comfortably. And then when he applies for his building permit, he will have those other 2 things in place. There will be a place on that property where he can build. Might not be where he wants. If there's karst, there's no karst. We will be 200 yards from where he wants to build. No karst, no conservation study, no nothing. Like that was, and we're a new build. Same with our neighbors. Nobody's had to do that. So we understand that this is a new thing. He's talked to the karst guy already. He's got his holes up there. The guy says there's no karst there. Anyways, we'll get it in writing for you. But I guess it's just a question of, you know, this is a younger couple with some children that can't come up with $30,000 if this is not going to go through. So we basically, and what I want to know is the study just on the severed part or it's on the whole new part, right? Okay. So.
Do you want to offer comments, Mr. Planner?
Oh, certainly. I'd be happy to.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're correct, Mrs. Osborne. The karst study is a requirement that's brought forward by the County Grades Planning Department.
Yeah.
They've mapped potential karst areas,
Yes.
and part of the properties fall within that potential for karst. So the karst study will verify that
There's no karst.
that there are
Yeah.
locations where
Yeah.
there's no karst. If they do identify karst, then there's engineering solutions to deal with that.
But there's also, if on a 10-acre block, if the house is here, can you not move the house here?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what
So-
we don't doubt that a house can be built. It just might not be able to be built where he wants, although he's dug holes. We know what karst looks like. We can't see it, so we don't anticipate problems. So he's got the conservation people, a letter from them. He doesn't have, obviously, that new little strip, which would be included. That 10-acre lot is fine. It was managed by Sue Ellison and her partner, so it's already been managed. And so this is, again, if this is driveway, entryway was step 1, this will be step 2. We can't do anything else without those 2 studies, we know, but I guess we don't want to throw money at something that can't be done. because otherwise we will just assume that 10 acres, and when we sell our property, we'll sell it as a 20. I don't know why somebody would put a landlocked 10 acres behind our property anyways, to tell you the truth. But it's convenient, they're hard to find, like, land is hard to find. And it will just improve the tax base, once the house goes in. So I don't know, it's deferred till what? Till we spend another $5,000?
I think the key is the karst,
So I need to, okay, so I need a letter from them. I need from the karst people.
If I may.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair. We're, so tonight, staff are recommending that the karst study be a condition of severance approval. The committee,
Okay.
in their wisdom, if they decide to grant provisional approval,
Okay,
then it's just a matter of going through those conditions
Right,
as
okay.
opposed to
okay,
deferring.
that's fine, that's fine. It's just, it's a question of no money, I'm not lending it to you. Right, it's very expensive, we know to build
That's
this,
right.
but that's, for sure, those are the steps we want to go through, I guess we just need to know the order of them. If provisional access is granted, that's great, and we'll start getting that survey done, and although he's already kind of surveyed it, we just haven't put it on paper yet.
Right.
Okay.
So there's still a few more questions
Okay.
here yet, and then, so thank you for your presentation. Do you have any more? There might be some more questions of you yet, though.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's still, this is like step 2 for us.
Yeah.
So, I just,
Okay.
ask you what's next.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so the next step is to look for public comments, just for tonight,
Okay.
for public comments, and then other committee members.
Okay.
And then we'll see what comes out of that. We'll proceed from there, okay?
okay.
So if that's it for now, you can take a seat, and then
Okay.
we'll,
What's the public comment?
we're just gonna ask right now. That's what we do
Oh,
next,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, okay. Everybody knows that we're doing.
Yeah. So thank you. I'll now call upon any members of the public who may wish to make comment to this application. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. I don't see that anybody's joined us virtually, and I don't think there's anybody in the public, so we can proceed to questions. Are there any questions raised by the planner, applicant, or public that the committee wishes to respond to? Okay, so I'm looking, I see no committee members. I think, I just want to make sure we get you the answers that you're looking for. I think what you're looking for is you do understand that the karst topography study or the assessment has to be done. Yeah, okay. I think what you were saying was pending positive results from that, there's nothing that stands in your way for a building envelope on that property.
Right.
And I don't see any reason that jumps out at us. I mean, a negative karst topography assessment might change the game a little bit, but based on what you know now and what we see here, I don't see a problem with what you're proposing.
Okay, great.
So I'll read the recommendation. So if there's no further discussion, I will now call for the vote on the motion as presented. All those in favor? That motion is carried. So,
So what does that mean?
so that means that pending those conditions,
Pending me proof, you need paperwork on those conditions.
that's right.
So my question is, what if we never want to build on there? He has to have it for building permit, right?
Mhm.
So can we not wait till he wants to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So kind of next steps coming out of this is the committee has granted the severance to
Yeah,
Berger.
okay.
So the kind of the next step that we'd have to do is two pieces actually. There's then you working with the surveyor
Yep.
and your lawyer
Yep.
to create a reference plan that shows the area and merging
The two?
the driveway to that land. We'll also have to, in the beginning of in January, do a zoning amendment just to create that hold for the karst studies to satisfy the county. And then when the karst study is done, we can lift the hold, it'll probably almost happen,
Okay.
boom, boom, boom. And then your son can apply for a building permit at whatever time he wants.
Okay.
And in the meantime, he can also start to work on his entrance. So he'll need an entrance permit from
Got it.
the township. Oh, he's got that already? Oh, well, then he just needs to.
You see, he can
Start
get to his
working through.
property, right from our property, so it's there, so we're set. Okay, so it won't be in January, it'll probably be more like when his money, when income tax money comes through, so.
Yeah,
That's
whenever,
fine.
whenever. It's no, we
That's
have,
great.
2
I
years.
think your question is, when does this run out? Like, you have 2
Yeah,
years,
next year, so
you
we're-
have 2
we're
years to
allowed.
do things.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's right.
Perfect. Well,
You
thank so
don't
much.
have to catch up on anything by January 15th or anything like that. Yep.
All right, super.
Okay,
Thank you very much. This is
thank you.
new to me.
If there's no further discussion, I will now call, oh, I did that. If there's no further discussion, the public hearing is now adjourned. Thank you. So I'll move to the next item, which is 6.1.2, severance application B24-24 and B25-24 for Bannerman. Applications B24/24 and B25/24 propose to sever 2.8 hectare parcels from an existing 20 hectare parcel for future rural residential use. 18.4 hectares will be retained for future rural residential use. It is recommended that the applications B24-24 and B25-24 be deferred to a future hearing until such time as all review agency comments can be received and addressed and verification of notice circulation is received. Looking for a mover and a seconder? Moved by committee member Glenn, seconded by committee member McMillan. Do you want to add anything to that, or are you?
Certainly, as through Mr. Chair. Yeah, 2 components to this is, excuse me, Grey County is looking for some additional studies like they typically do. And normally we'd have those as conditions of severance approval. However, for this one, I was advised by a neighboring property owner that they did not receive notice through the mail. And in checking then with other neighboring property owners, I found out that for whatever reason that notice never made it to them. So in all prudence and fairness to the Planning Act and the regulations, and in speaking with the Bannermans, we decided to defer this application and recirculate the notice. So what we did was I actually prepared new notices for the December 10th meeting last week, and our bylaw enforcement officer hand-delivered them. So we know they got them this time.
Great. So that was my question. We can proceed in December with
Yes,
this.
we can
So that's
proceed.
terrific. Okay,
With the application, so.
thank you. Any other discussion? Any further questions from committee members? Did I get a mover and a seconder there? I did. I can call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. I will now vacate the chair.
Members will just say, the secretary- your- Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this minor variance in accordance with Ontario Regulation 197/96 made under the Planning Act was given on October 22nd, 2024 by ordinary mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property, which is subject to the application and to all the required agencies. Notice was also posted on the subject lands and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or public body that requests a notice of the decision of the Committee in respect to this proposed severance may submit an appeal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The application A0224 seeks relief from the Township of Jordan Bluff zoning bylaws agricultural zone to facilitate the construction of a dwelling and attached garage on a vacant 4,000 square meter parcel. Relief is being sought for the interior side yard setback from 10 meters as recorded in the bylaw to 4.5 meters, and for maximum lot coverage from 5% to 10%. We don't get a lot of these variances, but as the committee is aware, there are the 4 tests that that apply to variances under the Planning Act, and based on comments received from the 4 tests, and then sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself there. The applications have been circulated for comments, and comments were received from the Grey County Planning and Development Department on November 12th. And just as a note, Grey County planning staff is taking steps to streamline their development review by limiting comments on new applications, including all minor variances and site plan applications, in addition to zoning bylaw amendments and consents within settlement areas. As such, the formal planning review of the subject application was not undertaken, but they did have some comments nonetheless. They say that, in summary, the property contains and/or is adjacent to significant woodlands, significant wildlife habitat, potential habitat for threatened and endangered species, or other wetlands and fish habitat. As Grey County staff are understanding that the proposed development will be located within or adjacent to these features, and it's county staff's opinion that the potential impact on natural heritage would be negligible, and the requirement for an environmental impact study can be waived, provided the following are adhered to. That tree removal shall be conducted outside with the breeding, nesting, and roosting timelines for birds and bats, being April 1st to September 31st of any given year. Trees shall only be removed to accommodate the proposed development, and any native species of tree above 10 centimeters at diameter breast height shall be replanted at a 1:2 compensation ratio on the property with suitable native tree species. It's usually not typical to have conditions on a variance application, and these requirements can be flagged and incorporated in the building permit stage for the site, as we, under additional changes in our Planning Act, cannot apply site plan approval to applications such as this or the residential development. And so based on that, planning staff are recommending approval of the application.
Remember addressing there is no one in attendance in person here. Sorry, through you, Chair addressing there is no individuals present in person here. Through you, Member Michelle addressing, we're having a bit of technical difficulties. If I may just ask for a few moments while we figure that out. Thank you. Member Ladresse, are you able to hear us right now? We're just testing your audio coming through our end. So just bear with us. We can hear you. We're just need to ensure it's going out to the live stream at this time. So just bear with us. Thank you. Sorry, Ladresse, can I have you just say a few words so we can test now? Just one moment. Let's see if third time's a charm. Can I have you speak, please, Chair Ladresse?
Today is Tuesday, November 19th.
I think we have it figured out. If I can have you speak one more time, Michelle Ladresse.
Sure, it's Tuesday, November 19th. And we can't see, I can't see the council chambers. I can hear you.
We are all good now. If I may, through you, Chair Ladresse, I may just read the recommendation that's on the floor for clarity for those listening in.
Where would you like me to start, sorry?
I can read the recommendation if you wish. It's just the recommendation that's on the floor. So that is, it's
Okay.
demonstrated that application A03/24 for John Vander Foy has satisfied section 45 sub 1 of the Planning Act and has demonstrated that the application is minor in nature, appropriate or desirable use of the land, building or structure, maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan, maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Therefore, it is recommended that minor variance application A03/24 be approved. There is a mover and seconder for that at this time. Thank you for bearing with us, committee.
Thank you. All right, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Glenn and seconded by Member McMillan. Would we like to go back to the planner summary, or can we move on from that?
I believe it's completely up to the committee, Member Ladresse.
Okay, I just want to verify that Member McMillan and Member Glenn have heard the planner summary and you're okay to move forward? Okay. Now I will call, do we know if the applicant is not there? Can you just verify that again?
Thank you, Chair Ladresse. I will note that nobody is in attendance in person at this time.
Okay, so we'll move forward. So are there any points raised by the planner, applicant, or public that the committee needs to respond to? No? Okay, there's no further discussion. I will now call the vote on the motion as presented. All those in favor? All right, that motion is carried. There's no further discussion. The public hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you, Member Ladresse. Chair Thompson is returning now.
Okay, I'm not sure if you are aware, we can't see the council chambers in the video feed. I can't.
Just one moment.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair Ladresse. I'll move to the next item of business, a severance application for Bradshaw. This is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider the application for severance for Margaret Bradshaw under Section 53 of the Planning Act regarding property located at Part Lot 5, Concession 21 Keppel, Part 4, RP 16R 4899. Madam Secretary Treasurer, please go ahead with your review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There have been no requests for deferral or withdrawal of the application. Notice of this severance, in accordance with Ontario Regulation 197/96, made under the Planning Act, was given on October 22nd, 2024, by ordinary mail to all property owners within 60 meters of the property, which is subject to the application, and to all the required agencies. Notice was also posted on the subject lands and on the township's website. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee. Only a person or public body that requests a notice of the decision of the Committee in respect to this proposed severance may submit an appeal.
Thank you, Madam Secretary Treasurer. I will now read the recommendation as presented and ask for a mover and seconder. It is recommended that the application B26-24 has been deferred to a future hearing to allow the applicants the opportunity to address comments received from the County of Grey's Planning and Development Department. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Motion made by Committee Member Ladresse, seconded by Committee Member Glenn. Could the planner give us a summary of the planning report regarding this file?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, the application proposes to split a 37-hectare parcel into, approximately 36-hectare vacant parcel fronting on Bruce Road 10 into two approximately 18-hectare parcels that will be continued use for agriculture uses with no structures proposed at that time. The property is designated both agricultural and rural in the county's official plan, and the county provided comments on November 13th, 2024, recommending that the application be refused as the severance as proposed does not meet the split land use type severance policies contained in the county's official plan. Given that recommendation, township staff are recommending that the application be deferred to allow the applicants a chance to meet with the county planning staff to determine if there's another severance scenario that would satisfy the policies, or if the application should be withdrawn.
Thank you, Mr. Planner. I now call upon the applicant to provide comments. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. Nobody's appeared for the applicant? Okay. I'll now call upon any members of the public who may wish to make comment on this application. Please state your first and last name for the record prior to beginning. I see nobody in the chambers, and I don't think there's anybody online at this time. I now ask our committee members, are there any points raised by the planner, applicant, or public that the committee wishes to respond to? Seeing nothing. If there is no further discussion, I will now call the vote on the motion as presented. All those in favor? That motion is approved. If there's no further discussion, this public hearing is now adjourned. We have no unfinished business, and the date of our next committee of adjustment meeting is the last committee of adjustment meeting of 2024, to be held on December 10th at 5 p.m. Thanks very much, committee members. Have a good night.